My dogs just get all excited when I scream like that. Welcome, everyone. I'm Kelly. All right, let's get started. Calendaring for brain peace. Guys, this is going to be the ER edition because we're in an emergency situation right now. So first I want to talk about what got me here. It was the summer and the fall of 2017 and then the fall of 2018. And here is what happened. Hurricane Irma hit all of us, particularly here in Southwest Florida. One venue that I had more than a dozen weddings at was severely damaged and still remains that way. I had to cancel a corporate event. I had to change two of my venues for two weddings. I had to recontract 4 weddings. My mother-in-law died, and of course, as a planner in the family, I had to plan her celebration of life. This is all during season. My dad was in a really terrible accident. He's okay now, I'm thankful to say. And I lost a dear friendship that I thought I could count on. So all of those things happened to me in that one time frame. And all of those things then affected me again the next fall because of the weddings that were planned for the fall of 2017 or came under contract at that time. What happened? I suffered from burnout. I was exhausted. I was overwhelmed. I felt desperate, unmotivated, unfocused, and I didn't know it at the time what it was the first time. The second time I definitely did. So with the second time, I was like, I can't go through this again. This can't happen. So what does this mean for you? Corona can and will change the rest of this year and very potentially next year. You may have to do a lot more weddings this fall than you had planned to because of all the weddings in the spring got moved to this fall. There's also the potential the ones that move from the spring to the fall are going to want to move to next year. But either way, right now your calendar might be looking like double of what it should in that short time frame that we all have here in Florida. And then before that, because we moved all those weddings and we have this big pause, we also have all this time between now and let's say October when the majority of us will start getting very busy again. And as Corona evolves, as the news kind of broke today, we could have another influx or resurgence of Corona and have to deal with this again in the fall of this year, meaning that next year will be majorly impacted. So what I learned from both of my burnouts was that I wasn't overworked necessarily, but I was underrested. And when you're underrested, you're creative and your logistical minds are broken. They don't work. And that's what I learned that I needed to avoid and what I hope to teach you to be able to avoid. So how I fixed my broken brain from burnout. The first thing I did was I refined my calendar by scheduling time off first, and then I moved in the work. So if you can imagine your brain is like an arm, and if you are suffering from burnout, it's like a broken arm or bad sprain. And the way that you would fix a broken arm is that you would put a cast on it so that it can heal over time. Well, I knew that if I could allow my brain to have the time to heal from all of the chaos and workload and stress, then it would get back to normal and I could use it again in the way that I always had. Why we all need to keep our minds straight. As business owners in this industry, an industry of celebration, where we only have one shot to get it right, we just don't have time for burnout. What I can say that burnout took away from me was the ability to focus on my clients the way that I needed to be able to come to the table for all of my colleagues. As a wedding planner, you know, my responsibility is, of course, to my client, but it is, of course, also to the people that I'm working with, all of my colleagues. And to be honest with you, in this year, we just don't have time. We don't have time to break down and to not be at our full force and full potential for our clients and our colleagues. So what I would like to teach you today is how to properly review your calendar, how to effectively plan your off time and your time to work, and how to communicate this to all of your clients and colleagues. Now, you'll see me as I talk through this, that I talk just about much about your colleagues because they're a big part of the plan. We all go into weddings as teams. Someone is, typically the captain or the head of the team. If there's a planner there, that would be us. If there's not, it could be the band leader or the DJ. It could be the photographer. It could be the banquet captain, but someone is there leading the team. But in order for all of this to happen, we all just need to communicate as best as possible. So what can you expect from this method of calendaring? And I do call it a method because there's a process to it. And if you follow the process, I promise you it will work. And what you're going to find is amazing. And I have to tell you, this wasn't something that came to me overnight. Nobody taught it to me. It took me months to figure this out. And it's evolved over the almost 2 years that I've been, I guess it's more like a year and a half that I've been doing it. But what I can say is I will never suffer from burnout again. I am so much better at my job, and I get to take a lot of time off. So the first thing that you'll notice is that you're going to be more efficient, far more efficient, because you're going to have so many more processes in place that you may not have thought of before, that because they were just having to do with your calendar and not necessarily like how your workflow goes with your clients or colleagues. You're going to feel more productive. You actually will be more productive because at the end of every month or somewhere in the month, you have a deadline for everything that you want to have done so that you can have those days off. Because you have the days off, your off weeks, you're going to be so much more creative. What happens with your creativity levels is when you're overworked or you don't give your brain time to relax and to soak in the good stuff that comes creatively from you can't get out. It just doesn't exist. There's too much going on in there. So by getting things done and being motivated and more productive in your office work and having that time to let your brain heal, you're going to be more creative. You're going to be motivated beyond all means. And here's where that comes from. It comes from having something to look forward to. Like when you're going on vacation and like truly going on vacation, like without your laptop. For those of you who don't do it, you need to learn how to do that. It's a very good thing. But before you go on vacation, you do everything you can to like set yourself up, empty your inbox, get all the mail out, get all your timelines done, make sure everyone knows what's going on, clean up the house, like all the things that you do so that you can be off and have a good time. You're going to be motivated throughout the time leading up to your days without expectation because you want those days really, truly to yourself. The best part about it, and I know that most people do struggle with this, is that you're not going to feel guilt for taking this time off. Before I started this method, every time I would see an email come in or a text come in or get a phone call, I would feel bad that I was taking the time, that I wasn't responding. I just feel guilty and I would give in. And with this method, you won't feel that guilt anymore. It just goes away because everyone knows you're on your day off. And that's the most important part of this method. You might say, Kelly, I'm already doing a lot of this. But the thing is, are you doing it consistently and you're doing all of these things? And that's where I found it can't just be, I'm just going to tell everybody I'm off, or I'm just going to put this on the calendar. It has to be all of the things that I put into this process, into this method, for it to truly, truly work for you. If you don't believe me, here are the facts. And this is just from my last mini class. I've had a couple of them, and then I've done a lot of one-on-ones with people. And so this was a mini class that we had last year, and I asked them, in a survey amongst other questions, did they think it was a good idea? Overwhelmingly, a yes. And I'm not going to go through and read all of the comments they put here, but I think they all had something really good to say, and really, to be honest with you, sums up exactly how I feel. And after doing this, it was, I think probably the key thing was that I felt very in charge of my calendar, of how I spent my time, and that I was in charge of me and nobody else was in charge of me. And that's one of the reasons I became a business owner, was so that I could be in charge of my own life, that I could do the things that I wanted to do and make the money that I wanted to make and do do it my way. So Jordan's going to be recording this, so you guys can go back and read all that later, but I'm going to go ahead and skip through it because I want to make sure we get through all of this. Okay, what do you need to do? It's a really easy answer. You need to schedule days off without expectation. The end. That's it. Biggest question, what are days without expectation? These are days where no one expects anything from you. You're going to do it every single month. There are, during your days without expectation or your off week, you are not going to schedule an appointment. You're not going to take a phone call. You're not going to have any meetings. Your calendar is empty on those days. You're going to wake up in the morning when you wake up, not when your alarm says, it's when you wake up, and you're going to do whatever you want. Now, here's the thing. If you wake up and you're like, I really feel like doing that design proposal, go ahead. But no one's expecting anything of you. You just decide to do it. Don't respond to emails, but do things that you want to do. You want to go to the movies and go to lunch and then go back to the movies again? Okay, you can do that because no one is expecting anything of you. So as we go through this, you'll find, I call it days without expectations, my off weeks, things like that. Everyone's going to have a different term for it. My friend Tiffany, she calls it her blue dot days, and you'll see why in one of the next pages. But so really, like I said, days without expectation are just days that no one's expecting anything of you, and they're going to be consistently or consistent on your calendar. So let's say for me, I do 5 days a month, and they're like consistently on the calendar: Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Okay. All right. This is the big question that everyone always asks me, and I wish I could give you like a hard, fast answer that was right. How many days off should I have? The answer is that it's up to you, and it might change. So when I first started this, I think I started with trying to do 7, and I realized I didn't need it. I didn't need 7 days. So then I tried, I think, like 3 days in a row, just doing like a weekend, another day. And that wasn't enough. I didn't feel completely like refreshed from that. So what I have ended up at, and I've been a full year at this, if not a little bit longer, is 5 days. Now my 5 days, I always do, including a weekend, because I take weekends off if I don't have a wedding. And then I just do Friday and then Monday and the Tuesday. So like I said, whatever you think is best for you, great. But you want it to be at the minimum 2 days a month. To me, that's not going to refresh too many people. So if you can find a way to get a weekend, if you have a weekend free, or 3 days in the middle of the week, but try at least to do 3. As you go through on your calendar in the beginning, start with the largest amount that you can find consistently through the months that you're planning on, and then dwindle it down as you go through and amend quarterly or monthly if you find that you really don't need that much time. I also include vacation weeks. This is a big deal because you're going to feel great going throughout your year just taking your days off without expectation or your off weeks. But I really feel really strongly that it's important that you take vacation weeks, which are entirely different. Vacation is all the way gone, not using your laptop or anything, not doing any kind of work, not doing design proposals because you woke up and you want to. Although it doesn't mean you can't sit and like educate yourself if you want to take a class or something like that. It's just you really want to log out of work. I'm not saying you can't be on Instagram or any of that kind of thing. Some of us really enjoy that, myself included. But you just don't want to be doing work. I also do think it's great to get away when we're allowed to travel again to make this happen. Okay, so here is the counting for brain peace method. First, you're going to review your calendar. The way to do that is that you're going to take your calendar, and you're going to print out each month individually as a month and spread it out on a big table and put them in order, January through December. Then you're going to take some highlighters and you're going to highlight in one color all of your event dates for the whole year so that you can see them there loud and clear. Then you're going to take another highlighter color and you're going to find the number of days that you want to start with, 5, 7, 3, 4, whatever it is, and find that many days on the calendar that you can cross off. Those are your off weeks. Those are your days without expectation. So what you want to do, and the reason that you want to have all of your calendars out in front of you, like on a large countertop or table, or you can get what I have on my wall is a dry erase so that I can see the whole year. But when you first start out, you want to print out everything out so you can see the dates you have on there already. But so you're going to cross off every single month. What you want to do is make sure that they're spread out enough. So, and this is why they all have to be there. Like if you go to put January's down, you have to see before you put February down that you don't have off weeks that are too close together. You want to have a decent amount of time in between, 3 to 4 weeks if possible. You can maybe, if you want to do it the same days every month, go ahead. Mine are not. And they can't be because of the way my weddings flow. So sometimes mine are on weekends or include weekends, and I really try to do it that way because my office is already closed. But if not, then I do them during the week. Now, I'm not an idiot, and I don't expect that you guys are either. I know that when we get to season, finding 5 days is really, really hard. So I know that, and this is where the ER edition of Corona comes in, because we may not be able to do 5 days in October and November and December of this year because we had so many weddings move into it. But at least make the attempt to find a few days that you can right now mark through. The most important part is that you don't take these away from yourself. Under no circumstance do you give those away for any reason. Someone calls and was like, I'm coming to town, can I please just meet you on this day? And that's one of your off days. Your answer is no. You just have to stick to this. And it's the only way that you can truly make sure that you are vaccinated from burnout. Like it can't happen. The third thing that you need to do is that you need to communicate to all of your colleagues and vendors. Super, super, super important. They need to know that you are taking this time off, and they need to know it in advance. This is why it's so, so, so important to get your information that's out there for the whole year out as quickly as possible. As you're going through your year, you also need to reevaluate. So I like to do it monthly, where I go and check the next month to see where my days are, my days of my off week or my blue dot days or my days without expectation still make sense where they're at, or if it makes more sense because of what's going on around those days to move it to a different set of days, but never giving up any. It's just maybe changing the dates. Okay, so when you're ready to do this, and I will say it's much easier to teach this part in a classroom where we can all be together. Unfortunately, we cannot do that right now. But you're going to have all of your pages, like I said, on the table. But I want you to start with a month that is at least 2 or 3 months away. It's hard to do it with like next month because chances are it's really, really full. If you can, great. Right now, I think we're all sitting pretty for quite a few months. But so start 2 to 3 months from now, print everything out. Like I said, you're going to choose a highlighter color to make your event date, and then and you're going to cross through all of your events so you know those are days that are not going anywhere. You got to stick to them because they're work. And then you're going to, and by event date, it means you're out for events, not necessarily that you are, I mean, you have your regular office days, and that's not what I'm talking about. It's for event dates. And then you're going to highlight them, your event dates, and your days off without expectation. Okay. This is the most important part, guys, because this is what gets you off the hook for everything. So please, like, listen closely to this, screenshot this. No, you don't have to screenshot because Jordan's going to give it to you. But if you want to, you can just hit the print screen button. Okay. First thing that you should do, update your signature line in your out of office and in your just your regular response emails to include all of your out of office dates. So on my signature line, I have mine for like the next 2 months. That way, anyone who gets an email from me sees that I am not going to be in my office for these dates over the next 2 months. So I know that they are constantly, as they're getting emails from me, being reminded that those dates are coming up. So I have a signature line. I use Stamp, and every time I have to like update those dates, I just go in there and change it, and it's there for every single email. In your client onboarding, all your documents that have your office response times, that's where you also want to put these dates. Every single document that you send out when you're onboarding that has anything to do with your office hours, these should be included. Proposals, contracts, how you work, welcome to our client bookshelf, whatever you send, make sure that you communicate all of those things. The most important thing is that you're reiterating over and over and over again dates that you have off. There's no way anyone can know that you're not going to, no one can say that they didn't know when you've communicated it from the start when you onboarded them. Your vendors or colleagues won't know, can't say they didn't know because it was in every single email going down the line. And just as you update them, let them know. What I do when it's close to one of those dates is sometimes I'll go into my emails and make them red and bold them, especially when I'm out of office, so that they can see, oh yeah, this is coming up really soon. She's going to be gone. Digital reminders are my favorite. So these are little text messages that you would send on your phone. I don't think I have it on my phone. I would show you guys right now. This is why sometimes it's easier to do things in person. But a digital reminder is like a screenshot that says, it can be a cute graphic on it, and it says, just a reminder, I'm out of office from this date to this date, that you can text off to anyone who would already be texting you for one reason or another. For me, I have clients texting me, I have vendors and colleagues who text me. So if I really don't want anyone coming to me for any kind of work-related things, I can send that out and say, please don't send me digital anything because I'm off right now. Okay, this is like the big Corona change. I imagine, especially for those who have products that are given after deliverable after the wedding, that your response and delivery times are going to drastically change for this fall. If we get to have all the weddings that we already had planned, and now we've got all those other ones in there, let's just take the photographers and videographers, for example. Now, instead of having your 20 weddings this fall, let's say you have 30 or 35. You're obviously not going to be able to edit everything in the amount of time that you may have promised in the beginning because of Corona. So right now, this summer, as soon as possible, would be a good time to send an amendment out, saying, hey, I want to let you know that our delivery times have changed because we were pushed into this by the Corona chaos. Acuity. Acuity is the platform I use to schedule and keep boundaries with my clients and my work colleagues and vendors. So if you aren't using something where people can schedule to make appointments with you, I highly recommend that to everyone. That's a side of all of this. But reinforce that always, that if someone wants to schedule with you, to use your platform for that. Mine's just a link in my signature line that they can click on to reach me for any reason whatsoever. But because you have your dates marked off in your calendar, it won't allow anyone to try to make an appointment on the days that you're trying to be off. Okay, really important to do, and what I found probably most helpful, but probably not until like a year into when I was doing this method, is that, like I said previously, every month you want to take a few minutes, 15 minutes, if that. I think it might take me 5, just to pull out the next month ahead and look to see if I should be changing dates around, because let's say I added a last minute wedding, or there's a big dinner party, there's a networking event, and I don't want like all of that to like be consumed or like come right around those dates. Like I never want to return back from my days without expectation to a flood of things where deadlines are due that day. So I might want to move things for that reason. And then every quarter, you want to review the whole next quarter and add on the following quarter. So let's say I try to do like, I put on a year in advance. Obviously, I'm adjusting my days off without expectation as weddings come in, as I book them, so that I can, like, if someone calls me for a date that I had already booked for my days off and I want to take that wedding, and I just pick up those days I was supposed to have off and move them somewhere else. But as you're reviewing quarters and adding on a quarter every quarter, you got to add on the next one, so that you're always at least 9 months in advance. I try to stay at a year, but know that the farthest quarter out is the one that's going to change the most as clients come in. Okay. Oh, look at that. The G pushed over. Okay. These are the resources that I use for getting all my communication done. And I didn't find them all at once. But these are the ones I use. I'm sure that you have all got some kind of thing that you work with that you love, but I just wanted to give a suggestion in case you didn't have these. Acuity is the appointment schedule that I have. I love it because I can, it works with Gmail, first of all, but so it syncs with it. But also, I love that when clients or vendors or colleagues, creative partners, anyone schedules something with me, it asks them, because I ask them to, I put the questions in there, what it is that they want to have the meeting about. So I can prepare in advance for whatever the meeting, appointment, phone call, review is. If you're not Boomerang, if you're a Gmail user, I highly, highly, highly suggest Boomerang. It allows you to push pause in your inbox so things aren't coming through. It allows you to send at a later time. So let's say you're on your days without expectation, but you do a design proposal or something like that you want to send out, but you don't want to send it out now, because you know if you send it out now, they're going to think, oh, she's back to working, I'm going to respond to that. No. Let it go get sent for when you're actually in the office. YStamp is the platform I use for my email signatures. Instagram is how I make my digital text outs. It's super easy to use. A lot of people will use Canva or something like that as well. And then for really easy things that I use to like actually plan like the actual logistical, put all the calendars out, I have an Amazon shop. You can DM me or whatever, and I can send you all the things that I use, the very special stickers that I use, the highlighters, my dry erase board, all the things that I have found most helpful to me in this time that I've been doing it. Okay, so the important part in all of this is that you just don't break your brain again. Once you perfect your calendar and you continue to amend it, you are just going to be in a state of mind that is unlike any other. I cannot begin to tell you how free I feel every single month, that I know that I have my days off coming. I get so much more work done. I never have guilt about taking my days off. I get vacation every year, twice a year at least. And I get so much more work done, and I'm so much better for the clients and customers that I have. So I challenge and hope that you all put this method into place. If you need more help with it, just send me a DM. I'm Kelly at Kelly A. McWilliams on Instagram. My email address is kelly at kellymcwilliams.com. Send me an email and I can, answer any other questions that you have for you. I'm going to answer as many as I can right now. And then if you need something a little bit more intense, you want to do a one-on-one, I can also offer those to you. Those go over really well because we can be FaceTiming and see what you've got down on your table. I would like to say this is a lot easier to do than you think it is. It sounds a little bit scary, like I can't do this. There's no way I can take 5 days off. I promise you that you can. I promise you. It's hard in the beginning when you first start, only because finding the days, because you've got so many days already like blocked off in your calendar, but you're only going to find those in the first few months, because as you get farther down the line, you don't have so much booked in there yet. So you have the time to go ahead and put your blue dot days or your days without expectation, your week off week, whatever you want to call it. So that is the end of my presentation, guys. And we're going to get to questions. Thanks for hanging in there. Okay, so here's the deal. I am on a Mac, which Jordan, can you pop in for me and help me out with this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so guys, just to be clear, I'm not really good on Apple. I love my iPhones and my AirPods and my iPad, but this machine is something new to me. So Jordan, can you maybe go through and see what questions are there? They're blocked on my screen, and I can get to them.
So first, Leslie asked, what scheduling/calendar software do you recommend for appointments?
Oh, definitely Acuity. So, and Leslie, I think what I'll do is I'll do a quick PDF after later today, and I'll send that to you, Jordan, so that you can it'll have links to everything on there. I think that would be easiest for everyone. But Acuity, I think there's a free trial on it, and I'll send a link that I know you get at least a credit. And I want to say it's like maybe $15 a month. I tried a couple of them. Some people like Calendly or something like that. I don't know. But this one I love in particular because I can have several different kinds of appointment schedulers on there. So like I have one for initial client calls. I have one for review calls for just like catching up. I have one for design meetings. I have one for vendors and colleagues who want to talk about a wedding. I have one for one-on-one meetings. So, and as they go through each one, I have specific questions that I ask. And once I just put the link on my Y stamp, my signature line, so anyone can fill it out at any time. And then let's say someone DMs me, like this morning, someone DM'd me on, I think it was Kamari today, say, hey, can we jump on a call or a Zoom? I was like, absolutely, just click here. And I put the link there. So it's so great because she can just go right in and click on the request for a one-on-one or whatever it was that she signed up for. So it's Acuity. And like I said, Jordan, I'll do a PDF and put all the links in. Okay, what else?
The next one is, when you are reviewing your quarter, how do you refrain from maintaining your calendar digitally and your paper highlighted printouts?
Oh, very good question. Very good question. Okay, so there's two ways that you can do it. It's only the first time, and then quarterly, when I do quarterly, I do print everything out again. So let's say my calendar's in Google Mail or Google Apps, whatever that is. I print them out for the whole month, and I do that on paper so I can see everything as a whole. My dry erase board, I update once I got that on so I can have it at the wall and see and all it has on there is event dates and my blue dot dates. Then I take what's on my papers that I've done with my highlighting, and I put those into my digital calendar. So you are going to move one to another. And then all of my calendar pages that I printed out, I do have them in a folder in case I need to go back to them for any reason. But typically, it's just so that you can have everything out in the open during that one time. But you'll have to do it in the beginning. And I do recommend that you do it quarterly so that and then that way you can do your next quarter that you need to add on to. But yeah, you do have to go and actually physically sit down at your computer afterwards. I would say the whole process, the first time you do it, like sitting down, might take you like an hour and a half, 2 hours if you're really gonna like really put good think on it. But every time you do it, it becomes a lot faster and much more, especially when you're just reviewing. You can get it done in 15, 20 minutes.
All right, awesome. And then Mark asked that he knows that you and other people have kids. How do you schedule constantly changing personal schedules?
Yeah, that's a big one. So that's what I call my advanced calendaring. And so that's what I use stickers for. So the calendaring for brain piece is just the part to make sure that you have the time off. None of those things like doctor appointments, um, uh, running them somewhere else, I don't know, whatever things that you have to do. My kids are like pretty much grown up now. But those should not be in your days without expectation. Those days really are not days that you should be doing personal things. But what I do is I have another color that I use for my admin days at work, and I have another color that are my meeting days. I have another color that are date nights, and I have another color that is kid days, another color that's softball games. So as the like on my digital calendar, when I have it printed out in front of me, I can already see those. So I'm looking for days that don't include those already on there, and I make sure that they don't come on there. If they do, if something comes up that has to happen during that time, I move my dates if possible. I can say, I have to be honest, there's been times where I've had to give up one of my days because there was nowhere else to move them collectively, but that's about as the worst that's happened so far. So, but that's kind of more like time blocking when you're doing it that way. So, um, I can, who did you say that was, Mark?
Yeah, Mark Kingsdorf.
Okay. So Mark, if you send me a DM, I will send you my my detailed list of all the different kinds of events that I use for like like the breakout stuff. Because I do the same thing. They're all color coded and they go into my calendar. So at a whisk and a whim, I can look at it and know what's going on for that day. And I do put on there like my like Kelly and I would take a Wednesday night. My husband's name is also Kelly. So Kelly and I would do date nights on Wednesdays. So that has a color and it's on every single Wednesday. And then when I had Emily's softball games, I would put that color on, and any other kinds of appointments like swell meetings. Any of my vendor events would be in another color. But I would, let's put it this way. If there's a swell event on a Tuesday and I knew that it was there, I would not put that on my days without expectation because that's work related and I'm expected to be there. But if I'm at home and I have my days off and I know that there's something going on and I want to go to it, I'll go to it. If there's a conference that I really wanted to attend that came up after it and I can't move my days without expectation, but I really want to go because I want to go, I'll go to it. There's no rules like that. What you just don't want to do is purposely schedule anything into your days off. It's just you want to be able to wake up that morning and decide to go somewhere. Quite often, not every month, obviously, because I can't get away, but quite often, I'd say probably 3 times a year, I will use my days without expectation to go away somewhere, even if it's just for 2 days. My friend Kimberly came into town a couple of, it was right before all this went down, maybe early March, February, somewhere in there. and she was up in Orlando and she was going to a conference, and I was like, you know what? These are my off days. I'm going to go. And so I did. It was great. What else? Any other ones?
That's all we have so far. If anyone has any other questions, or if you even want to unmute yourself and ask verbally, you can do that.
Anyone else have anything? Is there anything that didn't seem kind of clear to you guys that I can help you with? It, as much as I love talking about this, it's really such an action thing. It's just about like putting the pages out and going through it and sticking to it. It's like almost like I feel like I'm here like saying, I'm trying to motivate you to do this, to make sure that what happened to me doesn't happen to any of you, because I need you. We all need to make it through this year. And this is one way that I know, and I can assure you, you won't go through burnout if you put this method into place now. I promise you. Now, what I can say, just based on this last week, is this fall is going to evolve. It's going to go one way or another. So if you can be proactive and get your calendar like set up right now for where you're at in the fall and what's going on in 2020, you're going to be so much better off. And especially with like postponements, like to make sure that now that because before in the spring, we didn't see it coming. We didn't have time to react or be proactive. We were reacting to the situation. Some of us had like days to figure this out, and we were just pushing dates into the fall. And now we're all over. I know I am. I've got 1 week where I have 3 weddings going on. And so that's crazy. But if we can now, because we know we have the time and we know this could potentially happen again in the fall, that things get moved into the spring, if we've already got some dates moved out, as clients are calling and saying, I want to postpone, you can say, look at your calendar and say, okay, well, I have my 5 days here. If I push this one here, where can I move my 5 days or your 3 days or whatever they are? Anything else?
I think that
Looks
is
good. No one else has any questions? Everyone feels pretty clear on it. Again, I want everyone to feel really comfortable about coming to me, because I'm doing this because I want to help. That's why, Jordan and I decided to make this free for everyone, because we really, we need us all to still be in business so that we can go to swell events again when they become live again, when we can see each other in person, because they're such great events. Thank you for that, Jordan.
No, thank you so much for doing this.
No, absolutely. So like I said, I'm Kelly A. McWilliams at on Instagram. And I, to be honest, don't really use Facebook all that much. And then you can email me at kelly@kellymcwilliams.com. And I think
it's Kelly Kennedy did ask if they would be able to view this later. It is going to be up later today on swellevents.com under the video blog link, as well as on YouTube. So they can type in Swell Events on YouTube and should be able to see all of our video content from everything we've been putting up for the last 2 months. And then also I just wanted to mention, we have starting March 26th, we have 4 webinars coming up, 1 a week for 4 weeks, kind of doing like a spring cleaning of information. So 3 of them, March 26th, not March. What are we in? May 26th.
Isn't that of course?
June 9th and June 16th will all be free for everyone. The June 2nd will be free for members and a nominal fee for non-members. We haven't decided what it will be yet. But those are all going to be announced. One of them is up already to register, the one for May 26th. And then the rest should be up in the next week or so. So we'll be having lots of education in those 4 weeks.
That's so good, Jordan, and we all need this so much, especially right now, with, just to keep our minds growing and learning. It's so good. And I see Oniki on here. She was one of the first people that I taught this method, and I think she said thanks for the reminder. I know that has really helped her. She repeatedly tells me so, which I appreciate. But yeah, and I would love to hear from you guys if you do implement, how it's going in a couple months from now. I'd love to hear it. So, oh, hi, Laura. All right. Okay, everyone. It was good to see you, kind of, I guess.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next
Bye.
time.